And I did see the live, respect to Travis Hunter's fiance, I did see the live. She has a dark-skinned mother. Now, whether that was a Latino African mother or an American African mother, I don't know, but she African. So she passed the biological test. Mom is chocolate. So you passed the first question, but Travis Hunter's fiance got to pass the second question. Kendrick Lamar's wife got to pass the second question. You've established that you have a black parent. Now establish to me that you identify full-time as black yourself. Do y'all see that? It's not enough to have a black parent. You got to identify as black full-time. And if you don't, you're not a mixed race African. You're a mixed race snow bunny.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Real life street stars. Hold up. We got the legend. The only person in America who is not dreaming of a white Christmas.
That's right.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to be here. Yes, sir.
Finally on the blue couch, finally behind the lights. And we about to have a conversation, man. This is,
yes, sir.
First and foremost, welcome. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Glad to be back in Dallas, Fort Worth. You know, Dallas is one of the last major cities I started visiting on my speaking tour. I didn't hit Dallas until maybe 13, 14. I got Dallas kind of late, but saved the best for last. I got Houston even later than Dallas, but I get a lot of love here. I spoke here for Kwanzaa last December, and I was here about 2 months ago for a Black Economics Conference at one of your major hotels, and here I am now. Black Power, glad to be with you.
Thank you so much. Now, with that being said, the world knows you. You know, I remember that movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, with Clarence Williams III, where he was Black Power.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
then, you know, he had a whole situation with the white children. With his Black Power, his African bodism, I always got that take from you. And what I would love to do, because those people in this world that look up to you, look at you as a superhero almost. And every superhero has an origin story.
Yes, sir.
Of where he got his superpowers from. So I'm curious, what is Dr. Umar Johnson's origin story? How does it start?
I'm gonna give you my origin story, and it ties into my superpower story. So my origin story is, although born and raised North Philadelphia, Bill Cosby neighborhood, Meek Mill lived right across the street from us.
Okay.
In the third grade, we moved to North Carolina. My father was in the Marine Corps. And he was rough because he was a Marine Corps drill sergeant. But I didn't have an older brother to speak to because I'm the oldest of 5 sons. And so I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be the person that all the young people can talk to when they have no one else. So that was 8, 9 years old. My parents divorced. We get back to North Philadelphia. The elementary school that I attended, it just so happened they had a Black history class. It wasn't mandatory for the entire city. Our principal, that white principal, that Black assistant principal, that Black teacher made it happen. So 4th and 5th grade was Black history class. That was my introduction into Black consciousness, and it was my introduction into public speaking, because there was a Black History Month oratorical contest. I entered that, I won first place both years, and I never shut up since. Now, a few blocks away from my elementary school is the international headquarters of the UNIAACL. This is the organization built by the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, largest Black organization in modern history that gave us the red, black, and green flag. So the school is here, the Garvey movement is here. So you could argue that my steps were already numbered from childhood. I just had to walk them. Now, my mother bought my tennis shoes at the Jewish sneaker store right next to the Garvey building. I never knew it was the Garvey building for 12 years until I graduated from undergrad, college. So I'm going to get some sneakers, just graduated from college, and I see this big picture of Marcus Garvey in the window. I said, why is there a picture of Garvey next to the white man's sneaker store? And then the elder came around the corner, Baba Johnny Gossa. He's an ancestor now. Rest in peace. He said, can I help you? I said, why this Garvey picture here? What's going on here? He said, this is the UNIA. Come back Sunday at 3 o'clock. Came back Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's been 25 years later. I never left.
Wow.
Now,
Amazing.
let me give you the superhero story.
Let's
but
go.
Let me take you to how I became the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Let's go.
So, I come back from Millersville University year 2000. Got to do my internship to get certified as a school psychologist in Philly. I do that. 2005, I go to Africa for the first time as Minister of Education for the Garvey movement. Ethiopia, South Africa, Nigeria, and Senegal. 30 days, 30 nights, I'm all by myself, right? People thought I was crazy. You going to Africa by yourself? Hell yeah, I've been waiting for this. So anyhow, the last stop in Africa is Senegal. I go Ethiopia, South, Nigeria, Senegal. I go to the slave dungeon in Goree Island. It's the superhero story. I walk into the female slave dungeon. I got a bottle of water. I was raised Muslim, Sunni Orthodox Islam. Philadelphia has the largest amount of American African Orthodox Muslims in the country. Dearborn has the most Muslims, period, but they Arabs. Philly is Mecca to African American Muslims, not necessarily the brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam. We're talking Orthodox Islam, right? So anyhow, being raised Muslim, we never dealt with ancestors or none of that, right? And my father was strict with the Islam. So I walk into the female slave dungeon. I get down on one knee. I said, I'm going to pour me some libation. I never did this before. I'm in Africa for the first time. I got to do a libation. So I start calling on my ancestors in a female slave dungeon in Goree. True story. I started crying, but the tears didn't feel like mine. I got up and walked out the dungeon because it kind of caught me off guard, right? I said, whoa, that was a little different. What was that? I go back in. I finish my libation. I don't think nothing of it. I get back to my hotel room. Same night. Sun is still up. It's about 2 hours from sunset. I call my mother, let her know I'm good. I go back to my hotel room. I don't have a roommate. I sit down on my bed. Sun's still up. All of a sudden, I start hearing chains, whips, people crying, screaming, animals. My room starts spinning. Mind you, I'm wide awake. This is not a dream. I don't smoke. I'm not high. I'm a psychologist. I'm clearly awake. I thought it was going to stop. Now the sun down, right? It's still going on. I'm scared to get up and walk out. Something might grab me. So then all of a sudden, something starts tapping me in my third eye like this, real hard, but not hard enough to hurt me, but the power that I'm showing you here, right? But there's nobody in the room with me, but there's a finger tapping my third eye. Now I know it was opening up my third eye so I could receive the wisdom from my ancestors. I know that now. I didn't know that then, because back then I'm thinking like a Muslim. I'm not knowing nothing about no African consciousness. So then I try to go to sleep. I said, let me sleep this off because I'm too scared to do anything else. I felt two hands roll me over to the other side of the bed. Now, mind you, I'm almost 300 pounds. Roll me back to the other side of the bed. Roll me back. I'm like, oh, shit. Did I bring a demon back? So, I'm thinking in my
paranormal activity
mind, right? So at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I figured it out. I said, this is the ancestors. I just knew it. So I asked them, could y'all let me sleep now? Because I'm scared. Y'all been with me for like 7-8 hours. I need to sleep. So they left. The next day, I walk out through the village, and we are in a rural section of Senegal. So it's like calves and donkeys and chickens walking all around, right? So I'm talking to the Senegalese brothers, telling them what happened last night. They said, don't worry about that. A lot of you American Africans, when y'all come home, y'all have that experience because it's your ancestors tapping back into you. So when I get back to Philadelphia, this is the summer 2005, I resign from the school district of Philadelphia. I take on an assistant principal job. And I start experiencing coincidences like crazy. Somebody will, phone ring, I know who it is. Somebody looking for something, I got it in my hand. I think of somebody, I see them tomorrow. Like bing, 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 bing. Coincidences like crazy. Where I'm like, oh shit, what happened over there? So then I finally go to the Oyotunji African village in South Carolina. I get an African spiritual divination, Yoruba style, right? From the Yoruba. And that's when the Babalawo, rest in peace, Chief Olaitan, he's an ancestor now. He left about 2 years ago. He told me your ancestors were throwing you a welcome home party. He said, you didn't go to Africa for Garvey. You thought you went to Africa for Garvey, but your ancestors set that whole thing up to bring you back. That was 2005. 5 years later, I get a phone call from a Hebrew Israelite brother Dawa, Chicago. He's an ancestor now too. He said, I want to interview you on my public access TV station. Now, at this time, nobody know who I am. I'm still just the Pennsylvania Pan-Africanist. I ain't the prince yet. So I said, Chicago, that's the second largest city. I'm there. This is probably only the third or fourth time I ever flew an airplane, right? I'm almost 1 million miles in with Delta now, but this is beginning. So I go to Chicago, I do the interview with Dawa, psychoacademic war against black boys. Now, mind you, I done these interviews 100 times, but only in Pennsylvania. So I do it in Chicago. The interview was over. I asked him for a copy of the DVD. He said, I can't give you the DVD because I need this. I said, no problem. Send me a copy later. At the last minute, he changes his mind. If he doesn't, we might not be here today. He gives me the DVD, right? 6 weeks later, I speak at the National Black Theater in Harlem for the first time. So now it's New York, Harlem. I spoke in New York before, but it was private and only for the Garvey movement. This was for everybody. So I get to Harlem. I got copies of the Chicago interview. I give them out. My New York lecture was entitled Post-Traumatic Slavery Disease Part 4, Miseducation of the 21st Century Negro. It's on YouTube. So anyhow, after I do the lecture in Harlem, 125th and 5th, give out the Chicago interview, I lie to you not. Within 48 hours, my phone started ringing with area codes I'd never seen in my life, up until October 30th, because the Chicago interview was September 18th, 2010. The New York lecture was October 30, 2010, 6 weeks later. Prior to that, the only area codes I saw on my phone was Pennsylvania, 610-215-484, right? Mm-hmm. Within 48 hours after Harlem, bro, after giving out that Chicago interview in Harlem, my phone started ringing. It ain't stopped in 14 years. I started seeing area codes I never saw. First, it was America, right? My first call to come to Dallas came right after that. Like, yo, we want you to Doc Bookstore. You feel me? That's the first place I came in Dallas. And then California came. Then there was Texas and Alabama and Mississippi. And it was crazy. Now, mind you, at the time, I'm a whole school psychologist, but people keep calling on me to come speak. I'm like, shit, I got to test these kids, do these evaluations. I got IQ tests, achievement tests, emotional assessment. I had to make a decision. You either got to pull back on your public speaking and keep doing your professional work, or pull back on the professional work to travel. Now, mind you, being a psychologist, you get paid good money. Come on. I gave the money up for the movement.
Come on.
You feel me? And I don't regret it because of the lives that I've changed in the process. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But here's the point I want to make. When those ancestors came to me in Goree Island in Senegal in 2005, I believe that is what set up what happened in 2010 with Chicago and Harlem.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, what I'm doing right now was birthed in that slave dungeon in West Africa.
Yeah, no, that man, hey man, you know, that sounds like a Black Panther, the Purple Orb, Ancestral
I'm working on the comic book of it though.
You got to. You got to. And here I thought, you know, you got like done by a white girl in third grade or something.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, no. There's
no bunnies.
Yeah.
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
Yeah, I thought it was a traumatic moment that happened back in it. So okay, so man, that's amazing. So let's start with this, and we're gonna be jumping all over the place. But they always say for the Black American, the African American who's born in America, won't you go back to Africa? They used to always say, won't you go back home? And they'd be like, well, I never been there. What would you prescribe that every person, Black person of melanated skin, go travel to Africa? And if so, where? Based on where you've been. Great question. Would I recommend that every African in the diaspora travel to Africa? I'm glad you said travel, because I thought you were going to say immigrate or relocate. Travel, yes, so you can know who you are and where you come from. Connect with your roots, because that's spiritually necessary, that's psychologically necessary, that's politically necessary, that's socially necessary. Now, if you would have said immigrate, I would have said no, because as the Right Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, I have no intention of taking all of you back to Africa. Some of you are no good in America, so you damn well will be no good in Africa. And I'm of the same way. We don't need bunny hoppers in Africa. We don't need basketballs and footballs in Africa. You understand? Right. We don't need to be taking no problems there. You go there, you go to solve problems, not to create them. You know what I mean? So Garvey never led a back to Africa movement. That's what the white man called it. When people hear the word Pan-Africanism, they say, oh, they want to take everybody back. We never believed in that. And I don't believe in it now. Only those who want to go and have something that they can contribute to the rebuilding of Africa should go back to Africa. You understand? Now, to what you said in the beginning there, the whole world is the kingdom of Africa, because we're the first people to circumnavigate the planet. We're the first Europeans. We're the first Asians. We're the first Americans. We're the first everything. We was on every continent before anybody else ever evolved. If you dig long enough, you're going to find Black folks everywhere in the beginning. So the whole world is the kingdom of Africa, but the continent is the royal palace.
Now that phase you went through, I won't even say phase, that what you went through when you went to West Africa.
Yes, sir.
Is that something you think every Black person can experience, or do you have to be chosen to go through that?
That's a great question. I'm gonna look at it a couple different ways.
Gotcha.
To begin with, in many African spiritual systems, women, Black women, are born with the spiritual capacity to access other dimensions. They born with it, right? Mm-hmm. So the African woman is slightly more spiritual than us in that she's born with that energy. We have to be initiated and trained into it, right? So that's one part of my answer. Here's the other part. It depends on how spiritually ready you are. Here's one of the laws of spirit, right? Your ancestors might want you to go to Africa and go through exactly what Dr. Umar went through to open you up spiritually, right? But are you psychologically ready to receive that truth? Listen, I was born and raised Muslim. That indoctrination was heavy, right? So even after I went through that awakening inside of Goree Island, I still had to deal with some of the indoctrination of Islam that taught me that anything that was beyond the realms of the Quran was not divine. You follow me? I'm a conscious brother, and I still had to work through it. You see what I'm saying? So remember, spirit will only give you what you can handle. They might want to give you the world, but if you are not psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually prepared to be opened up, it will harm you, and therefore they won't bring it to you. So when you hear that saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That is exactly the truth when it comes to ancestral awakening. They're only going to come to you if you're ready to receive them. And that night in that hotel room, I don't think I was ready to receive them, but they made me ready because they wasn't letting me out the room. You feel me? And they came so hard that I could not ignore what I've been through. In other words, had I dreamt that, if that was a dream, I would have reasoned it away. You follow what I'm saying? They had to get me awake, sitting up on my bed, because anything else, I would have dismissed it as some sort of random dream. So they got me when I was awake because they needed to make sure I accepted it.
That's real. I'm curious, what did you think of the Black Panther movie?
The Black Panther movie, shout out to Ryan Coogler, and of course he has a Black woman. Cinematography, excellent. Right. Excellent. Now let's deal with the content.
Yeah, that's all I want to do.
The cinematography is one thing. Content is something else. I got issues with the content in Black Panther. Why? Killmonger, which I believe was Dr. Umar plagiarized, because in that movie, next time you watch Black Panther, you're going to hear Killmonger say things that I've said verbatim. Verbatim. I saw at least 4 comments out of Michael B. Jordan's mouth that I've said verbatim.
Damn.
So they took me and made me into Killmonger.
Can you give us maybe one of those?
Yes, indeed. When he said there's 2 million people all around the world who look exactly like us and we not doing nothing for them. Who the fuck you ever hear say that but King Kong? And I could give you more than that. They took me and made me him. There was another action thing that just came out. They had my whole hair. Of course, I cut it now. Had my hair, beard. It was the three women. It was a Black sister and 2 white girls.
I forget.
It was, you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes,
they had me in there, and everybody texted me for the doc. They got you in here. Look just like me, saying my shit in there.
Oh, you need a lawyer.
You know, but stay with me. So with Black Panther, with the content, Killmonger was the metaphorical woke Black man in America who knows everything but doesn't respect African culture. The message in Killmonger to Africa was, don't let these woke Negroes over there. Yeah, they read all the books and they know all the history, but they don't respect African culture. They've been Europeanized and they filled with hatred, like Killmonger. If you let Black America come back to Africa, they will destroy your society. There was coded messages in Black Panther for different African populations around the world. Now let's look at Prince T'Challa, right? Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. His character, the Black Panther, was what? Selfish, stingy. He was a nationalist, but he wasn't a Pan-Africanist. He didn't care about Black people outside of Wakanda. Y'all remember that? Yeah. Remember when Lupita kept trying to get him to go help? She said, we got everything in Wakanda. Let's go help our brothers and sisters in America. Prince T'Challa said, we don't give a damn about them.
Yeah, he did.
You follow what I'm saying? So that was a message to Black America that Africa don't want your ass. Y'all can keep wearing dashikis and changing your name and getting locks. They don't want you. So the messages, I think, were very damaging and destructive to the aspirations of Black people on both sides of the water. And let's be clear, this was not a coincidence. Black Panther came out in 2017, was it? 2018?
2018, I want to say.
What was the very next year after Black Panther came out? The Year of Return. 1619 to 2019. 400 years of African people in the diaspora relocated from slavery. Are you going to tell me it's a coincidence that you bring a movie out? You bring a movie out the year before the quadricentennial of Black slavery. You bring a movie out that tells Africans, Black Americans are no good for you, and tell Black Americans, Africans are no good for you. Look at this now. Killmonger is the metaphorical Black man in America. Prince T'Challa, the metaphorical Black man in Africa. You don't want to be bothered with him, and you don't want to be bothered with him. Now let's bring it home. CIA agent Ross, remember the white boy?
Yep.
At the end of the day, he flies the plane in. He really saves the day. Can I ask y'all a question? How can a CIA agent be a hero in an African movie when the CIA assassinated every major Black leader we had in America, Africa, Central South America, and the Caribbean? They got Maurice Bishop assassinated. They was implicated in Walter Rodney. They got Malcolm killed, King killed. They the ones who got Garvey thrown out of America. They the ones who had Patrice Lumumba assassinated. They helped Nelson Mandela get arrested. The CIA destroyed the Black liberation movement. And you mean to tell me you got a Black Panther movie
Implanted
with
drugs.
an organization responsible for killing every major Black leader saves the fucking day? Now, listen, Congress, U.S. Congress, they have a committee for Hollywood. Guess what the job, I forget the name of it, but there's a congressional committee who oversees the movies that come out of Hollywood. And what do we know about the congressional committee? They will pay your movie studio to put content, characters, themes, and storylines in your movie that are favorable to American foreign policy. You're not going to tell me the FBI. Ryan Coogler cannot tell me that the FBI didn't have their fingerprints on Black Panther because the storylines was completely disgusting. I'm going to go one more.
Let's go.
For the Queendom. The movie's in Africa, right?
Right.
Can you tell me something? Why you didn't see a single Black mother with a child in a 3-hour movie in Africa? There was no maternity in Black Panther. Where can you go in Africa and not see a woman with her baby?
Message.
You know why? You know why?
Why is that?
Because they are trying to create a mindset and an atmosphere in an ecosystem where Black children no longer look to Black on Black heterosexual love. And so they strip Black Panther of Black on Black heterosexual love because they selling our children the rainbow agenda. Black Panther 1 was a CIA psyops, and Black Panther 2 followed up on it. I'll never forget Black Panther 2 because it came out on November the 11th of 22? 22, right? I know it was 11/11. You know why? Because we just celebrated Nat Turner. Nat Turner was hanged November the 11th, 1831. So every November the 11th, we go to Nat Turner land and we celebrated him in the army, right? So at Nat Turner, I said, who want to go see Black Panther tonight? We was hyped. Just got finished celebrating Nat Turner. We got the energy. We go to the damn movie theater. And all I see is brown people whipping the shit out of Black people. That movie was a disgrace. Black Panther 2 was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Listen, can I ask you a question? Go back to Black Panther 1, right?
Right.
Our children was hype off the characters in Black Panther 1, right? Everybody wanted to be, right? Now you high off Black Panther 1. Your mother and father take you to see Black Panther 2. So now you got these, I don't know what they were, Latinos, Arabs.
They were Latinos.
Okay. And much respect to the Latino nation. So you have these Latinos, right, who live under the water.
Right.
And they have all the same powers.
But even better.
They have even better powers. Oh boy was a god.
Somebody help me. Since when did you have another category of superheroes, right, who have the exact same or better grade, higher quality powers of your superheroes? Here's the question. What was the purpose of Black Panther 2 if it wasn't to strip the self-esteem of black kids who was riding high off of Black Panther 1? They whipped our ass. They went into Wakanda and whipped everybody's ass. Jabari from the Mountain Tribe, he wasn't doing shit in Black Panther 2. He got his ass whipped. You feel me? So, and then remember they killed the mother? What Black Panther, what black person you know? They kill Auntie, Angela Bassett, kill your mother. You come back and make peace with the people who killed your mother?
Damn.
What kind of movie was that? Listen, Ryan Coogler, you're not gonna tell me Ryan Coogler writing these himself. Nah. No black man is writing no movie where your people get destroyed by another race. And it's supposed...
You ain't killing my mama and then
come on, man.
Good after that.
Yo, that movie, I almost walked out and I'm sitting next to my godson. I'm like, what is this? I wouldn't take my kids to see this. This is an insult. And now they're working on part 3.
With Denzel.
And I love Denzel, but he ain't got no control over what the script gonna be, you feel me? So I hope Ryan Coogler do a 360 or something, because right now, I couldn't show that to my children. Remember now, that's the first superhero movie that will be viewed by every African child in the world. Every black child on the planet saw Black Panther. And look at the messages they got from it. Look at the messages. Completely toxic. Black Panther 2, look at the messages. And as far as I'm concerned, Black Panther 2, to me, was a prophetic message to Black America that we're about to wash out the black with the brown. Black Panther 2 was a preview of the migrant crisis.
We should have went against a white superhero. That's what we should have did.
Should have been.
That'd have been a better movie.
That black versus brown, I ain't like that theme. But I do think it was a forerunner to the migrant crisis. What did they do in New York? What did they do in Chicago? They washed out black people with the migrants. That's exactly what they did with the underwater people in Black Panther 2. Washed us right the hell out.
What do you think about them making Bucky the black, the Winter Soldier? He was the White Panther.
I didn't understand the last scene in the movie. Who was the white dude at the end? Jesus.
That's Bucky.
Cracker G. Who is he?
So he's the Winter Soldier in the comic book. That's
so
Captain
he's
America's
his own character.
He's his own character.
What was he doing in the Panther movie at the end? What was he doing in?
Trying to cross over with Marvel.
They was trying to cross over.
You got me thinking.
But in the comic book, he is known as the White Panther. That arm he has is vibranium, which is mined in Wakanda. That's what his arm is made of.
I don't like it.
Hold on. I got one more. So, what about the only presence? There was no strong black man presence in the movie.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact, and shout out to the sister who plays Zuri, right? They turned her into the Panther. I didn't like that because black women need superheroes. Our daughters need them, don't get me wrong. But you don't turn a black male superhero into a female superhero. You understand? That should have remained a man, because what it said to me was, y'all not strong enough to lead the nation. So we're going to let a woman take over. And that's what the hell we've been going through since the 1970s when they started deindustrializing the inner city. So there was a lot of themes in these movies, man, which makes me bring up something else. Have any of you been to the Smithsonian National African American Museum in Washington, D.C.?
I have when I was young.
You been?
When I was young.
No. Well, it's only been open for maybe
the big
5, 6 years. It ain't that old.
No.
Okay, you ain't been there. Now this is the National.
Okay.
George Bush signed it into law when he was president, but it opened under Obama. So I guess maybe 12 years now, maybe about 12 years. But the reason I'm bringing this up, because when you go to the Smithsonian, right? Now this is the official African American Museum of the U.S. So everybody who visits this country who want to know about black people, they go into the Smithsonian. So I go to the Smithsonian. And so I go in and I'm like, okay, it starts in slavery. They don't really tell us too much about what we was before y'all came and stole us, right? So I'm scratching my head a little bit about that. And then in the slavery exhibit, Thomas Jefferson, rapist slave owner, has a life-size statue in the slavery exhibit? Why are we glorifying a slave master in the slavery exhibit? What is Thomas Jefferson doing with a statue? They glorifying him, right? Nat Turner don't have no statue. Harriet Tubman don't have no statue. My ancestor Frederick Douglass, he don't have no statue. So I keep on going through this museum. They got the Honorable Marcus Garvey tucked on some little board around the corner. You won't even see him. This is the leader of the largest black organization of all time. He tucked. Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he tucked. Right? So keep going. You get up to the top 2 floors. Guess what's on the top 2 floors? One floor is the athletes, right? Michael Jordan got a big statue. LeBron James got 3 big TVs with all his highlights. Serena Williams got a big. I said, wait a minute. Wait, time out. No statue for Harriet, nothing for Garvey, nothing for Nat Turner, but Michael Jordan, a bunny hopper, Serena, a bunny hopper.
Damn.
And then you go to the hip hop. They have a glass case of a pair of Nike Air Force Ones painted red, white, and blue with Barack Obama's face on them in the hip hop exhibit.
Oh, hell no.
Nike is a white corporation. Barack Obama is a house Negro. What that got to do with hip hop? And then, after you're going through this trauma, you're going to be hungry, right? So you say, let's go get some grub. I know they got some good food in the cab. Guess what they selling in the cab?
Here we go.
Nachos.
Take a guess. Guess what they selling in the cab at the Smithsonian National African American Museum? Yes!
And fried chicken.
Yes! Fried chicken, cornbread, pork chops. Yes!
Collard greens.
Ghetto-ass plantation food. You know what I thought? I thought they was going to have samples of the food that we ate in Africa before we came. So this is what they ate in Nigeria. This is what they ate in Ghana, Liberia, Congo, Cameroon. No. They gave you the slave diet. So here's the narrative. This is how it is. They was in Africa, living in the jungle. We came and enslaved them, but they didn't know it was good for them. So when we got them over here, told them how to work and be civilized, and gave them white Jesus, they didn't know it was good for them, so they fought us. We let them out of slavery. After they got out of slavery, they started making rap music and dunking basketballs. The end.
The end. Highlight reel.
Now, people say, well, how would you have done it? First of all, why is there no exhibit on the school to prison pipeline? That should have been a whole floor. What about the HBCUs? That should have been a whole floor. What about the contributions of black women? That should have been a whole floor. How about the black inventors? That should have been a whole floor. What about mass incarceration? All the people who'd been murdered by the police. Now they're in there. You got a little plaque. You got a little info board. But I'm talking about an exhibit. No, bro. You know who run that museum? Athletes and rappers, bro. And then when you ask questions, you know what they told us? They said that the athletes you see in the Smithsonian put up matching dollars for the construction of the museum. So they say LeBron and Serena and Michael and them gave money, right? Yeah. So because they gave money, y'all had to dedicate the museum to them? They not no damn freedom fighters. Now, go to a Jewish museum. I bet you they ain't got the top 2 floors dedicated to Seinfeld. How much you want to bet Seinfeld ain't got no whole floor? No, do you feel me though?
Rerun.
How much you want to bet going to a Jewish museum about the Holocaust?
Right, it's
you won't see no goofy ass comedians, ain't no actors, no basketball players. They talking about community and culture. Right. But you come to the black museum and 2 floors is dedicated to coons and bunny hoppers.
It's
and guess how much it costs? $550 million. Do you know what the hell we could have done with $500 million, bro? You know how many schools we could have built? You know how many hospitals we could have built with $550 million? You know how many black men unemployed we could have gave jobs to? How many homeless black women with kids for $550 million?
Come on, man.
Oh my gosh.
Now, let me ask you, again, I'm gonna get off of this Black Panther, but I have to ask you, when Black Panther came out, there was a lot of black pride that you see people in dashikis. Uh-huh. They were seeking for something.
Yes, they were.
And they got it from entertainment value. What did you take from the Black community coming together and start really trying to show their Blackism, I guess you could say?
Misdirected passion. And the reason I'm going to say it was misdirected passion, no Caucasian, no Hollywood film studio, damn sure not Walt Disney, can create or do anything for you that should motivate you to get interested in who you are because a white man is initiating it. Look at all the great leaders we had. Look at all the scholars we had. Look at all the Black books that's been published on us. And you get hype over a superhero invented by a white man. Invented by a white man. But you won't get hype over the real Black Panthers. How about some Huey P. Newton? He wasn't invented at Disney Studio. What about little Bobby Hutton? What about Geronimo Pratt? What about Bobby Seale? What about George Jackson? What about Jonathan Jackson? What about Fred Hampton? I'll give you some real Black Panthers. You follow what I'm saying? Don't give me no cartoon invented by a white man where you got real Black Panthers. And here's the issue. The real Black Panthers got washed out for the cartoon Black Panther. Because now when our children hear Black Panther, they don't think about Huey P. Newton. They don't think about Fred Hampton. No. They don't think about George Jackson. No. They don't think about Geronimo Pratt. They don't think about our Prentice Bunchy Carter, John Huggins. You know what they think about? The cartoon. So in many ways, that was a cultural takeover by Hollywood commercialism.
Damn.
How many, in entertainment period, how much of it do you think is made to program the way
all of it?
All of it?
The purpose of entertainment is to control minds. The whole purpose of propaganda, which is informational warfare, is to do what? Destroy the consciousness so you never have to go to war with the people. If I can control what you think, I never have to fight you. If I can convince you that standing up to me is the worst thing you could ever do in your life. If I can convince you that I am invincible, you'll never want to fight me. That's why they spend more money on misinformation than they do in the military. And you see how much money they spend on the military. They spend more money on misinformation than they do in the military. And let us be clear about something. You only have about 6 media companies. 95% of everything you see, 95% of everything you read, 95% of everything you hear is either coming to you through Disney, Sony, Time Warner, Bertelsmann, Rupert Murdoch News Group, and I'm leaving one out. 6 companies control 95% of all the media in the world. And you wonder why they control our athletes, they control our celebrities, they control what we think. Whoever controls the information controls the world. And what are the most important aspects of information? It is the images and the sound.
Right.
The brain is ruled by what it sees and what it hears.
So, with that being said, Jay-Z, what are your thoughts about this? Everything that's going on with Jay-Z right now?
I think the Jay-Z situation, here's what I believe. Bill Cosby was falsely arrested, or should I say unjustifiably arrested, in September of 2018, right? Allegedly, a whole bunch of ugly old white women came together and remembered that he sexually harassed them 40 years ago. Nonsense. No white woman is waiting 40 years to tell on a rich-ass black man. Remember, at the time, Bill Cosby is what Denzel is now. You understand me? Bill Cosby was the man back then. Right. He opened up TV. He's at the top of his game. He sexually assaults you, innocent white woman, and you don't tell nobody for 40 years? Not only one of you, it's like 30 of them. And then all of a sudden, they get this epiphany. All at once, their white ancestors came and said, stand and go tell. Right. And they all came out at one time. Bill Cosby got locked up because him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest oil company in the world drill under their Massachusetts home. They wanted oil. Cosby and Camille led the crusade by the neighborhood association to not let them drill. They decided to get him arrested because they felt that they could bankrupt him through legal fees, which would force him to sell the house. They get access to the drilling. That's why Cosby went to jail. So that's 18.
Okay.
R. Kelly is convicted in Brooklyn, September of 2021, and again in Chicago, September 2022. Right?
He did that shit though.
He may have, but that's not why he's in jail.
Okay.
No, because we never going to defend pedophilia, right? Or abuse. But that ain't why he in there, because that's what they do in Hollywood.
Right.
That don't make it right.
Okay.
But that means that's not why you there, because if that's why you there, they should all be there. Right? R. Kelly didn't want to sell his masters. That's why he got locked up. Now, if Bill Cosby's in jail, if R. Kelly's in jail, why did New York City's city council decide to create this gender-based violence protection initiative, which already existed, but they added a 2-year window out of the blue? Out of the blue. The law been around since 2000. It's a 24-year-old law. 2 years ago, it's been around 22 years. And y'all say if there's any woman in New York City who's ever been sexually harassed, abused by any man at any time in your life, you have from March 1st of 2023 to March 1st of 2025 to bring a civil suit. No statute of limitations. If Bill Cosby is already locked up, if R. Kelly is already locked up, if Harvey Weinstein is already locked up, why did they come up with that law? In my opinion, they came up with that law to take down Sean Carter and Sean Combs. That was the Puffy Jay-Z bill. It wasn't necessary. Why? Weinstein's in jail. R. Kelly's in jail. Bill Cosby's in jail. Why do y'all need to come up with a 2-year window that let women go all the way back in time and accuse any man they know? And mind you, you can't bring a criminal suit. It's only for money.
Right.
Come on.
Money.
That tells me you only made this rule to go after rich people. Black celebrities, bro. That was the Carter Combs law. That's what I call it.
When Jay-Z says he's not P. Diddy's friend.
Wow. Now, let's look at that both ways.
Okay.
When Sean Carter said that him and Sean Combs were never friends, that could be looked at a couple different ways.
Okay.
On one way, it could be a mafia thing where we know we buttons, but I can't afford to catch none of your heat. So on camera, I'm gonna tell them I don't mess with you.
Right.
But off camera, we still brothers. Because I can't afford to go down. Because if I go down, Puff, who gonna finance you getting out? God forbid, if Puff go broke, he gonna need Jay to send him a life preserver. You feel me?
Right.
So Jay can't afford to go down, because if they both go down, who can they go to get some money from? They two are the biggest out. Denzel ain't cut no check, he too clean. He ain't gonna touch it. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, it could be an undercover agreement. We're gonna act like we enemies in public, but I got your back in private. So I don't wanna jump to conclusions. Now, if what he said is what it is, that's bad. Because everybody know y'all was homies. Everybody know y'all hung out. Everybody know there's a relationship there, but maybe they fell out before Puff got hit. You see what I'm saying? Maybe their relationship went south before Puff got hit with the accusation. Maybe this is not Jay-Z throwing him under the bus because of the crimes he's being accused of. It could very well be that their relationship went south. But to say y'all was never, like I said, I'm going to take the high road, and I'm going to say Combs and Carter have an agreement that we ain't friends in public because I might need your help in private.
The alleged allegation against Jay pertains to this 13-year-old girl back in 2000. We don't know what's true. It's all allegedly. However, why do you think no one is questioning the story of why this 13-year-old girl was in these places and spaces at this time by themselves? Why is that not a topic of discussion? Whether he did it or not doesn't make him innocent or guilty. Why is no one saying, well, what was this girl doing alone
Exactly.
there in that space?
Well, for Black people, we don't care because we love to see our successful people taken down.
Wow.
So Black people don't care.
Wow.
They just want to see Jay-Z, Sean Combs, and any other rich Black person drugged through the mud because they're not rich. So that's Black people. White folks are not going to question it, pretty much for the same reason. They like to see Black people fall from grace as well. You know, for me, you have to go there. How does a 13-year-old girl get from Rochester, New York to Radio City Music Hall on September 7th? What, the year 2000 was it? Yeah. How did she get there? She said a friend drove her 5 hours. I've driven to Rochester. Frederick Douglass is buried there, so I visit Rochester regular. A 13-year-old girl got a ride from her friend from Rochester, New York to Radio City Music Hall. And the father don't remember ever picking his daughter up after she got sexually assaulted by the two biggest names in hip hop.
Wow.
Why do you think, because once you get so much money, right?
Uh-huh.
I heard the only thing that beats racism is capitalism. So once you get to a certain threshold of money, it's like, why assassinate the character of a Puffy or a Jay-Z? What is the significance of it?
Well, first of all, capitalism cannot beat racism because racism invented capitalism.
Mm.
White people are serious about power. Black people are serious about money. Mm-hmm. It's the big difference between us. This is why a white man could be worth $10 billion. You will never know it. You will never know it. A black man will be worth $10 and you think he's worth 10 million. Right?
Right.
So white people are about control. Yes. You see? Yes. Control. Black people want to own things. White people want to own situations. Power bucks money every day of the week. When you hear Negroes say the only thing matter is green power, that's a politically uneducated Negro. The question is, who makes the green money? Who has the power to print the money? Power runs this world, not money. Money don't mean nothing, because when you got power, you can get anything you want. You don't even need money if you got power, right? Because you can make people do. Think about the bully in lunch, right? You in the lunchroom. You got your bling on, you got your money, your Jordans, right? The bully ain't got nothing. But guess what? He gonna leave the lunchroom with jewelry, Jordans, lunch. Why? Because the person with power can get anything they want. White people are in pursuit of power. Black people in pursuit of things.
Now, I would say that you command a lot of power. Mm-hmm. I would even venture to say that taking somebody like you down would be more of a loss to the black community than taking a Jay-Z down. Only because
I agree.
You speak this message you speaking. I remember being, I don't know where I was or how old I was, but I remember I heard you speak on the Breakfast Club and you made me want to actually do something about the shit you was talking about. You was talking about what they do to black children, how they with ADHDs and how they just misdiagnose our black children over and over again, and what the problems that it actually causes. And it was like, man, we really just have to go through that, and it made me want to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Aren't you more dangerous? Do you feel like you're in danger? Do you ever feel like your life is in danger because of your message?
I think that every black man in America is in danger and a potential political prisoner. Am I being watched? I am, because I was told that by FBI agents who are supporters of mine. They pulled me to the side and say, they're watching you. Don't get paranoid, because if they don't find nothing on you, they will make it up anyway.
Man, that's some real shit.
I had an old lady, a senior, an elder. She came up to me. I spoke at a graduation in Philly, right? She like a sweet grandmother, right? Guess what she told me? She said, Dr. Umar, I'm an FBI agent. She said, you would never know, would you? Look like the sweetest old grandma, like she just made some sweet potato pie. And she said, you need to be careful because they will send the type of people they know you will trust. And I trust elders. So I got to be careful with the elders.
Have they ever tried to send a white woman?
Nah, but they will use the white woman on everybody else, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Not me. They're going to send a white woman on me. But see, here's the thing that I wanted to say to that. They watch, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't really mobilize against you until you start moving the people.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm educating the people. I'm motivating the people. I ain't moved them yet. Once the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy is up and running, now I'm going to start moving them. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's when I got to be extra careful. That's when they want to send. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe right now that there are 4 women and 1 man that is around me who I think are agents. Yes, I will bet my life that at least 4 of them are without question agents. The behavior, things they've done, they already got people on me. And I know who they are. It's easy. You can tell an agent. It's hard for them to hide. I just got to be careful, but you can't worry about it. Because the Honorable Marcus Garvey said what? Leaders will come, leaders will die. The tragedy isn't that we die. The tragedy isn't the fact that Malcolm or King or Mega was murdered. The tragedy is it's been 50 years and you still ain't found a replacement.
Oh man, that is a tragedy.
See, a big difference between black people and the other communities, they make their leaders. They train their leaders. They raise their leaders. We go to church and mosque and pray for hours.
Come on, yeah, nah.
You see that?
Really?
And that's why it's been almost 50 years and you ain't got another King. You ain't got another Malcolm. It's been 100 years. You damn sure ain't had another Garvey, right? And that's our problem. You got to make leaders. The white man got leadership schools. The Asians got leadership. Where's our leadership academies? Where do you send black males or girls to be trained in the art of leading black people? Not one. Not a single HBCU specializes in the leadership of African people.
Well, my opinion on that has always been black men are scared. Once you get to a level like you, once you get to a level where you're at and you can command a crowd or money or wherever you want, it starts to change how they want the things. So the information that they was given is no longer important to because now they have access to the things. So they scared to lose now they can get the women that they actually wanted before they started talking all the good information. Now they can get the jewelry. Now they can have access to the different events and places that they couldn't go before nobody actually cared about what they were talking about.
Have you ever read a small little book, any of you, or heard the audio book? It's a small book written by a Caucasian from England very long time ago, and it's called As a Man Thinketh. You familiar with it? I recommend that all y'all read As a Man Thinketh. It might take you an hour to read it. It's a small book. You can get the PDF free online. It's one of my favorite books. They actually introduced me to it in the Garvey movement. The elders will make me read it. And As a Man Thinketh, he's talking about control, mind control. And he says, the situation never makes the man. It only reveals you to yourself. The situation does not make you. It only shows who you always were. Yeah. If Dr. Umar ended up with a snow bunny 20 years from now, I always wanted her.
Oh, man.
Do you feel me? I always wanted her. The opportunity just never presented itself. If Dr. Umar sells out for some money next year, I was always a sellout. I just didn't have a good enough reason to sell out then. You see what I'm saying?
Come on.
Truth is consistent. If you are about what you claim to be about, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you don't change. If you change, you were never real to begin with. So I don't look at money as changing nobody. Right. You was already a sellout, waiting to happen.
Hey, message. Let me ask you, when it comes to P. Diddy and Jay-Z, and let's just stay with Diddy, because I want to talk about, someone had brought up saying, if it wasn't for Carisha coming out.
Is that Young Miami?
Young Miami.
Okay.
If it wasn't for her getting, where Diddy showed, he's pulling up, gave her a podcast, coming to her shows and concert, letting her talk about their relationship publicly, which before he's never let anyone talk about the relationship, then Cassie probably would never been possibly scorned to even file a lawsuit against him. What would you say to that?
I could definitely see that. I could see a possibility where Cassie, out of jealousy, envy, or rage, decided to come forward because she felt Young Miami was being treated better than she was. I could see that. But you know what I could see more than that? I could see her white husband telling her, you better go get that money.
No.
Because we ain't living rich over here. And you got a whole blackmail case on this man. A button you ain't pushed, you gonna push it. I think her white husband sent her after Diddy to bring back the cheese.
Yeah. So how should we be treating the mixed woman?
For me, the mixed race African woman is no different than any other African woman if she identifies full time. The problem with the mixed race African, some mixed race Africans, not all, right?
Right.
The problem with some mixed race Africans is they have not yet made up their mind as to which side of the fence they want to stand. And with me, they all black. If you say I'm black, I'm riding with my daddy's blood, or I'm riding with my mama's blood, and that's African, I'm African, I don't treat them no differently than anybody in this room. It's only the ones like me and my sister Amber Rose, right? We going back and forth today.
Okay.
And Amber Rose identifies as biracial.
Yes.
Which to me means I don't want to be black.
Correct.
So until she re-Africanizes herself, she's a snow bunny.
So is it the Rosa Parks effect? Because like if you black in the back of the bus, but if you white, you can sit up here with us. So you feel like some of them don't want to actually go to the back of the bus?
Here's the problem. Correct. Here's the problem. And I sympathize with the mixed race African. Because your mother and father, out of their own selfishness, mixed race parents of an interracial parents are selfish.
Wow.
You selfish.
Okay.
Because you are God and you putting your seed in the devil, or you are God and you letting the devil put his seed in you.
One way or the other.
And this child is going to grow up being split, right?
Yes.
With the DNA of the two most polarizing racial groups on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
It ain't like an Asian, a Chinese married an Indian. It ain't like a Latino married a Native American. An African married a slave master. It's completely different. And so that child has to navigate this complex political world where I'm half black, half white. Black people don't trust me, and white people will never accept me. It's selfish. Why do it to the child?
What would you say?
They suffer all kind of depression, drug abuse. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of mixed race Africans who ain't got no issues. I want to be clear.
Come on now.
Some of them are more psychologically sane than those of us who ain't mixed. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's not everybody. But my mission to the mixed race brothers and sisters is to know that if you are ready to be African full time, Dr. Umar and Team Pan African will accept you with no issues. No issues.
So I have to ask
But you got to be full time. You can't be black at the Dr. Umar lecture and white with your Jewish grandparents at the bar mitzvah. I'm not accepting that.
So what would you say to the Diana Ross effect? Meaning that she had mixed race children, then those children got with white people and had 10, they're like less than 25%.
So here's my rule.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is where me and the Honorable Marcus Garvey disagree. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said one drop. Garvey said one drop. So for Garvey, if you are one drop and you claim African, you good. For me though, and of course that was a century ago, I'm Garvey now. For me, you got to have a one parent rule. You feel me? One of your parents better be black. So now if you say, what if one of the parents is mixed race? Right? Which would make the child a quadroon. Because what you're saying is you have one black grandparent, right? Biracial, you got one black parent. Quadroon, you got one black grandparent. Octoroon, you have one black great-grandparent.
Octoroon.
Right? Now stay with me. With the quadroon, you do have an argument with me.
Okay.
You do have an argument with me.
Okay.
Because if your mixed race mother or your mixed race father was raised psychologically black, and they very much look black, as a lot of mixed race Africans do, look at Frederick Douglass. Yeah. You wouldn't know Frederick Douglass was mixed race. In his younger years, yes. But once Frederick Douglass hit 40 years old, hell, he damn near my complexion. So you can't always tell. I know mixed race Africans you would think ain't got no white parent. You see what I'm saying? Nature knows no color line. And that's why you got to be careful about a hard rule. So for me, one parent rule, I will consider a quadroon. If somebody comes to me and say, Dr. Umar, I got one black grandparent, but I was raised black by my mixed race dad and my mixed race mom, I will consider them. Now, if somebody comes to me and they are an octoroon,
1/8.
I'm 1/8 black, unless you look like Jimi Hendrix. I don't think you passing my test.
Now,
I don't think I can rock with the octoroons. Quadroons, you got an argument. A lot of our Latino brothers and sisters are quadroon, you know. The Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans and the Cubans, you know, and my great-grandfather was Cuban, by the way. You know what I mean? So they would be quadroons, many of them.
Now, what about the if they have the mixed race, but they was raised by the white parent?
It don't matter because it's DNA.
Got you.
But remember now, my rule is I have a 2-prong rule, right?
Right.
Because that was the conversation I had the other day about Travis Hunter and his fiance and Kendrick Lamar and his wife. And that is this, because and I did see the live, respect to Travis Hunter's fiance, I did see the live. She has a dark-skinned mother. Now, whether that was a Latino African mother or an American African mother, I don't know, but she African. So she passed the biological test. Mom is chocolate. So you passed the first question, but Travis Hunter's fiance got to pass the second question. Kendrick Lamar's wife got to pass the second question. You've established that you have a black parent. Now establish to me that you identify full-time as black yourself. Do y'all see that? It's not enough to have a black parent. You got to identify as black full-time. And if you don't, you're not a mixed race African. You're a mixed race snow bunny.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move. Hey.